And we're live.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Funny Nut Theory. Funny Nut.
All the audio is working. Everything clicked. Perfect. Awesome.
Well, things are going well for us, but they're not for the world, so we're kind of going to veer off. And this is going to be a very
special
current events heavy show. I think it might be mostly that. Just to preface, we've been going over MK Ultra, and last week was kind of Manson's involvement. This week is supposed to be Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombings. We're still going to do that. We'll see if we get to it at all tonight, but if not tonight, then next week for sure.
Yeah, there's just so much going on that we want to cover as far as current events, right? I think we got quite a lineup.
No, it seems pretty pertinent to look at the things going on in the world when they all seem like crazy conspiracies.
Dude, no, I mean, that's part of it. That they all kind of
10 years ago, who would have thought like this would be the news today?
Yeah.
At any point, if you had the White House talking or even mentioning aliens, that seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, let's hang on. We're supposed to break news right now.
Breaking news.
Let's go to that.
Yeah. You got it.
Pull that article while I start talking about it. In Arizona, Tucson, on I-35, a truck, like a semi, flipped and is leaking nitric acid. It's all on Twitter. News breaks on Twitter, so I'm on it. They said they could see Twitter. I mean, by they yellow clouds of nitric acid from half a mile away. And Tucson, the city, has placed a shelter-in-place order on Tucson, and I think a mile or a half a mile around Tucson. So currently, if you're in Tucson, Arizona, you're kind of fucked also.
Dude.
And we'll get to the train in Ohio and things like that later. But this broke an hour ago. I saw this an hour ago, and every tweet I saw about it was from an hour ago. So I think that's about when it happened.
Do you have a video?
He's playing a video right now of cars driving by it. Yeah.
I mean
it is spewing like that's noxious. If you stood in that cloud, you die.
Well, for sure. But I mean, that's in stark contrast to what's happening in Ohio. It's a single tanker, right? Where in Ohio, you have several overturned.
That's true.
Yeah. And not to diminish this at all, but I mean,
yeah,
it is shelter in place for a mile radius around the incident, which is pretty crazy to think that there's this.
Well, you know what? The Wikipedia says nitric acid is supposed to be colorless. Oh, but older samples tend to be yellow casted due to decomposition in oxides of nitrogen. Interesting.
So it was nitric acid.
Yeah, I don't know. For sure it is. I was trying to figure out how deadly it is, but
probably very.
Yeah, everything I'm seeing is like, don't touch this shit. You're not going to see this in your high school chemistry class.
And it just like exploded everywhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like leaking on the side of a highway right now in Arizona.
God, it's so close.
Ooh, you want to know what it's used for? Fertilizers, ammonium nitrate. The other main applications are for the production of explosives, nylon precursors, and specialty organic compounds. You know what? This whole thing has like brought to my attention that dangerous shit is in trucks all around you all the time. Like incredibly dangerous shit.
Dude, I think the Pepsi trucks like carrying their syrup have to have some kind of hazmat indicator on the back of them, don't they?
I don't know.
No, yeah, like the syrup is so corrosive if something were to happen and it gets spilled or something.
Like the big syrup boxes for the soda machines?
Well, yeah, but it would be like a tanker full of just the concentrate to produce the more or less concentrate. I don't know.
Right. Well, then probably. Oh, also Discord's open. If y'all want to hop on and talk with us, we're in an open channel on our Discord. Jeremy, prompt the Discord link, and you can jump in and talk about anything we're talking about, especially if you're in the state that is affected, which is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, if there's any trouble getting into that, let me know, because you might have to assign roles or something. Just select, I think the generic one is skeptic or something like that, stupid, but just give us a heads up if you're having trouble getting into it. We'll welcome you, though, if you want to come in and chime in on any of the current events we're going to be covering.
Yeah, and so that's Arizona. It's kind of crazy that just happened, especially in light of everything, but we're going to backtrack to earlier in the week, I think, maybe even last week or a couple of weeks ago. It was in February.
Which one are you referring
to? Which one? What are you talking about?
The Turkish earthquakes.
It was 2/15, so no, that's the day's date.
That's the date of the article.
Tomorrow's date. Tomorrow's 2/15. Today's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yes.
Valentine's.
Yeah, you said that with a M. Like, how do you Valentine's? You made me think that the way you made me think that you say library incorrectly. Also,
library.
Library.
BEERR.
And so the reason the Turkish earthquake was so bad is because like the official death toll currently is 31,643. These are like unbefore seen levels of earthquakes. Not really, but crazy, destructive. And they're having an election in May and already going like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Their whole country is in turmoil right now.
I think it is Turkey. Isn't that where Göbekli Tepe is at too? We've been covering pretty extensively through the ancient Civ stuff.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm going to Google that.
It's 100% in Turkey. And I think all that underground network of civilization was in Turkey as well, or at least somewhere in there.
Yes, it is in Turkey. I bet Göbekli, well, it's kind of underwater, but we talked about in Ancient Civ how most of those things are built to survive earthquakes and things like that in some weird way that doesn't seem possible.
Right.
But I found a weird thread in relation to the earthquake that happened in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pull up that astronomy.com link under the solar earthquakes?
Do I?
Please.
Is the sun falling apart? Is that what you're talking about? No, solar earthquakes.
No, it's the one under that. But I'm going to the tie together before the.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Powerful eruptions on the sun might trigger earthquakes.
Yeah. And another thing we talked about maybe it wasn't Ancient Civ, but in relation to climate change in general, is that like 95% of our climate is dependent on what the sun specifically is doing, save a massive asteroid impact or something like that. And so it kind of begs the question. Earthquakes happen because tectonic plates are running into each other, which is on the sphere of magma, which inside that is like a magnetic core. And if our magnetic core is so reactive and everything outside of it to what the sun is doing, I mean, we're being held in orbit by the sun. It has total control of us in some sense. Then how much is like natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanoes related to the sun? And this article kind of goes into that, and it's more theorizing than like saying, yes, definitely the sun affects earthquakes. But the reason I bring this up is because I think this was about the same time that the earthquake happened that I saw the information about the sun falling apart. Mm-hmm. Like, so when solar flares happen, we can know when it's going to get real hot for us, it even makes electrical signals. Or if a solar flare happens large enough, it's basically an EMP for the Earth, and all of our electronics will get fried. And that hasn't happened yet, but we know that it's possible and that the sun has done it and likely will do it. But this is something that they hadn't seen, and I think they saw it with James Webb, or they looked at it with James Webb. I might be wrong about the James Webb thing being involved at all, but there's a polar vortex, and like part of the sun, it flares all the time, but this time part of the sun like went up and is like spinning at the top of the sun.
Shit.
It lingered overhead for hours. So like flares normally go like this, but this was like for a hot minute going like crazy tornado on the sun, huh? And so then Turkey happens, and it makes you wonder. I don't even know if the times line up. I didn't even dig that deep, but I wanted to spark a conversation about the sun's effect on our planet and kind of how vulnerable we are to catastrophes like that.
I just posted about that in suggestion. Oh, Salsa chiming in. Breaking scientists say a piece of the sun's surface has broken off. I'm pretty sure that's the same article we're talking about. Oh, I can't switch tabs. My bad. That was me. That just messed up. Let me go to a different.
What did it show?
we both, like, it was blackout on both our screens.
Hey, Salsa, if you read this and you want to talk about the sun, hop into the Discord and talk to us about it. You don't have to show your face or anything. But
I didn't set up that scene, but we'll be all right.
I want to apologize in advance for my voice, because I don't feel good at all, and I'm very congested and my eyes are all puffy. So just bear with me.
See, I kind of feel iffy about reading this stuff because the first ever event, like I think the sun ejects material pretty often. It might be specific event, but I don't think.
Right, but this, and so that's what I was kind of getting into with the solar flares, is that does happen a lot. But this one was something that they, like, the articles are written as in, like, we've never seen the sun do this. This is weird.
Right.
And so if they've never seen it do that, you wonder if they know what the ramifications of that happening might be. And then you get a giant earthquake in Turkey, and you go, hey. Are these related?
If you think of the Earth as just, I mean, it is just a giant magnet, right? You mentioned the iron core, right? It's rotating. Yeah. Something else that I've been following, I wouldn't say too closely, but something that's been on the back of my radar is what they call polar shift, right? The magnetic North Pole was like constantly moving toward, I can't remember, I think it's actually towards Siberia, so away from it. But if you think of like whenever magnets react, like the point they, I guess, converge or something, there's like a snap effect, right? Where they just kind of snap back into place. If that were to happen on Earth, like if that magnetic core were to like flip and switch real fast, like a snap, it would throw the continents in disarray, right? Like they think that might have been one of the causes for Pangea splitting up and stuff like that, which is cyclical.
Okay. I have two things to branch off of this. One is I saw an article that scientists think Africa is splitting into two continents, but that is all I know about that. The second is that I described exactly what you said. I don't remember what episode it was, but that book, Adam and Eve.
Yeah, Adam and Eve story.
Yeah, where it described a polar shift and the winds at the equator being like just 1,000 miles an hour or something insane. because they don't stop moving the way they're moving, but the Earth moves and then takes 7 days to move back.
Yeah, it's momentum. It's pretty basic.
I saw a tweet a few hours ago that Elon commented back to, and it was saying like 13% of homes in Japan are vacant and just deserted. And he commented back and he said low birth rates equals low civilizations. And like, I forgot exactly the words he used, but basically just like they dwindle.
No, I think he said ghost towns arrive out of, or he said low birth rates create ghost towns or something like that.
Yeah.
China,
I should have pulled it up.
China is pretty notorious for having ghost cities, like well-built, kind of futuristic cities. And but China's hard to distinguish as to whether it's their economy falling apart or if it's
Japan.
They had the one-child policy for a long time. I know, but I'm branching off with the China kind of idea, because they had the one-child policy for a long time, and now their population is low as well as Japan, and so they have ghost cities and stuff like that. It's weird to think about. It's weird to think that like growing up, always it was like there's too many people. I mean, there were famous jokes. The population crisis was the opposite topic.
Effect.
Yeah, it was a popular topic, but in the opposite way.
Yeah.
And so now to like kind of glean an understanding via other countries as to what happens if you just don't have a population anymore is also crazy. And if you've ever played like a Civ game, like a Civ game, if you don't maintain your population, your empire erodes out from under you. And that's a new perspective as well. Like I never expected that to.
No, it's pretty interesting to take, because I mean, you can imagine the past 100 years, how much warfare and how much loss of life there was in some of these countries, and there was no replenishment of it. And even China like went the opposite direction, saying like you can't repopulate. You're limited to 2 or one kid it was. But the flip side of that is the United States would be almost immune to it just because of our immigration policies. Like we welcome immigration, and it's like the melting pot of the world. Like everybody can come here and kind of, grow. So from that standpoint, it's kind of comforting that here in the States, we have always had an influx of population. Like it's just constantly growing and stuff like that. You take that as good or bad if you want, but I feel immune to that piece because these big world leaders, Japan, China, Russia, are all kind of on the decline of their populations, right? Just because of all of these policies and warfare and loss of life and all that stuff. So it's an interesting take. And it's definitely against what we grew up thinking, right? Like everything was overpopulated and just growing way too fast, which led China down their one-child policy, all that stuff.
Yeah, and we grew up in a town with like 2,500 people or 7,500 people, however many it was.
I think it was close to 2,000. I think at one point growing up in high school, it was like 1,700 or something, which it's exponential now. That town is 5A now, pushing 6A.
It's like,
my class didn't even have 200 people.
That's crazy to think. I think my graduating class was 130, and then you're a couple years behind me, 160, and then
mine had 182.
Yeah,
that seems
which is cool because.
No, I remember going to college and telling people that, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How big was your high school?" And I was like, "It was pretty big. It was new." And then,
well, especially at the university that we both went to that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about your first college.
Yeah.
UTSA. Yeah, you went to multiple colleges.
All right. So past the crazy earthquakes in Turkey, I just felt like they deserved a mention because it is like kind of a historic natural disaster that happened there.
I don't want to say it's unprecedented, but I can't think of anything in recent time that was a natural disaster that was big. I mean, I know there's tsunamis and stuff like that, but 30K is a staggering number of loss of life.
That
is
absolutely.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And if you dig into that article, which I tried not to do because I did it once, and or if you dig into that subject and try to find articles, the first one I came across was however many hours later, people can still hear people under the rubble and can't get to them. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to look at any more of this. That's the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's sad stuff, man. I'm glad we're supporting and sending aid. I mean, even Texas specifically has got some programs in place to get aid over there. So kudos.
To Turkey?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kudos for sure.
And then, so let's let's dip out of that and get into kind of the fantastic and the what on earth is going on. Stop doing that.
What on earth?
Snap off in Discord.
Yeah, and this isn't even. Well, it starts from Earth. Okay, so we shot down China's balloon. We talked about that last week, correct?
Yes,
a little bit.
I think even last week it was about a week out. All right, I think it was the 4th whenever this happened, which would have been 10 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, there's been like 3 or 4 other incidents where we've shot down.
I put a link in for that.
Yeah, I think it was 3 specifically. So it's 4 total if you include the Chinese balloon.
Yeah. So that was another subject I wanted to like. So the first one, the February 4th one, was most definitely a balloon, right?
Yeah, it's the New York Times one that I put under China balloons.
But everything since then, we have no idea what it is.
That's true. Yeah. The most I've gotten as far as information as to what they are is we don't know their propulsion system. One of them was an octagon, and one of them was the size of a car.
Yeah.
There's some crazy antidotes to worth mentioning. So, like, this is I've heard it multiple times now, but the fact that we're like seeing more and more and more of this stuff, right? Like the military and all these other agencies are getting called out. Why are we just now seeing this stuff? Their response so far has been, oh, well, we didn't have our equipment fine-tuned, so we've turned the gain up on some of these radars, and now they're just all popping up. Like, what the fuck?
Well, that also kind of... okay, so
that's bullshit.
So, like, literally no one knows... Yeah, no one knows what is going on with this stuff. We'll dig into the White House press and kind of elaborate on how, like, literally nobody knows anything. You would think if you shot something down, you could take a fucking picture first, but not even that. So this is our opportunity as a conspiracy theory podcast to pontificate and go, what the fuck is really going on? Because I don't think they turned up the gain on anything. I think it's either all a distraction and they didn't shoot shit down, or because they keep saying they're not. I saw an article that said we may never be able to recover these things we shot down, and I go, fucking why?
Dude, I saw that too. There was some article saying like it's in such a remote part of Canada, or like it's up in some mountain or something they couldn't get to. Fuck that. Like Afghanistan is like riddled with the same stuff, and they had like special forces all over that.
Yeah, they're waiting for divers to be able to also dive down deep where they can't.
They don't have to dive, I don't think. Do they?
Yeah, there were certain parts where they had to. Yeah.
I thought it was on frozen water because the north right now is fucking frozen solid, or it was a week or two ago. I was in Idaho. It was cold. I was in Idaho 2 weeks ago, and the people from Idaho were going, "Fuck, it's cold outside," and I was going, "You bet your ass it's cold outside."
It's not cold like this out here.
Yeah, but and so like the balloon that falls off the coast of South Carolina is underwater, and they go, yeah, we're getting that shit. It's got a bunch of sensors on it. I saw an article that said that. I didn't bring that up at all, but they're like finding it, going through it, and going, yeah, it was a balloon. It had a bunch of sensors. It's kind of weird. But these things are shooting out of the air in the frozen places where the water is not supposed to be broken through. Is like, we may never find it. And I'm like, I don't believe you. Why would you never find it? What are you talking about? Land your jet next to it, dog.
That was another thing, too, is like it's taking jets to come shoot this stuff down when, like, why does it take jets to shoot this stuff down? Like, I don't know. It seems like an over-the-top.
There was like 3 of them other than the one shot down over the inlet. Yeah, there's one in Alaska. There's one in between Canada and the U.S., which there was some dispute about, and we ended up shooting it down. We ended up shooting it down, and we're like, we're going to take it. And Canada was like, but why do you just get to take it? And I think our response was like, go fuck yourself, we're taking it. Higher technology and unexplained maneuverability.
What's up, Elon?
Elon Musk have an idea. I like that. This also says it's $600K per Tomahawk missile to shoot these down. I read 400K. I read 400K, but also I read that the last one over Lake Huron, they missed the first shot.
How?
And so it costs $800K.
These things,
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be like a missile? It would just like track it.
If anything, you pride yourself on having the most advanced, largest military in the world. Exponentially more so. Like everybody else combined, they don't ravel. And then we can't even shoot down these balloons with our highest jet power. Like,
okay, not even can we not shoot them down? We can't find them after we blow them the fuck up? Like, what is going on?
It's a distraction.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's either not real at all, or it's aliens, or it's something that really doesn't matter. Where I'm going to go, that's stupid.
Edward Snowden doesn't think that it's aliens. And did y'all see that tweet that I sent y'all? I put that in the thing as well.
If I had to bet on one of those three options, the option is literally nothing is happening. Yeah. And they're just trying to pull us away from other topics, which we'll get to later in the show. But I'm like, octagonal shape, 40,000 feet in the air. What does that other than a balloon? They're saying it's not a balloon, but they don't understand the propulsion. So like, what the fuck is it?
No, I'm on board with you, man. I want more so than probably anybody else for this to be aliens, right? Like me personally, just that's what I want. But I'm having so much trouble believing that this is actual alien stuff. Like I think it's a horse and pony show. I think they're just trying to like keep us distracted from what's really going on in the world, which is what we're going to get into. But like it just seems like some kind of like just, hey, here's something shiny to pay attention to while we're really doing this shady shit on the side. Hang
on, I gotta write this down.
The trains
said the trains in Ohio, like there's a bunch of political stuff going on. Like it seems weird in the wake of all of this stuff that was happening with UAPs, like the congressional hearings and all this stuff, where the military was coming out saying we don't know what this stuff is, and then all of a sudden, like they start turning the gain up on their equipment and seeing this stuff, and they're like, oh, it's absolutely not aliens. It's probably China, but we're going to shoot it down. And then in the middle of one of their press conferences with the White House, like they're going through it, like the first thing they say is, oh, it's not aliens. Don't worry about that. And then they get into like, oh, it's probably a foreign countries. We don't know if it's, a private thing that they're just doing research, or if it's some kind of scientific experiment, or if it's like another government like doing surveillance over it. And then one of the first questions... One of their first questions was like, do you anticipate retaliation from some government thing? And they just like blew the question off, wouldn't acknowledge it.
Well, okay, so that leads to like, what if it was aliens and they retaliate? And we'll get into that. But one of the questions was, well, have you asked anybody if it was their balloon or something? Like, have you asked any company if they're flying shit at 40,000 feet? And they're like, we just don't know yet. And you're like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know?
If you shot this stuff down, if it was some kind of private company, you think they would have been like, oh, why are you shooting our stuff down? Like, we were just researching this cloud. But no, like, obviously, if there's no response to it, then it was some kind of covert thing. Or it's aliens.
And in what context? Imagine you're in the military and you're a pilot, and I'm the guy telling the pilot if he's okay to shoot it down or not. I go, what is it? And they go, I don't know. And I go, shoot it. That's stupid, especially if it's aliens. That seems like not what was going on.
No, I agree, but I wouldn't necessarily think that the pilots have any autonomy to be like, what are you asking me to shoot down? No, I don't really personally feel like that's a justified thing. I think they're there just to pull triggers.
No, I agree, and I don't think the pilot would ever say, no, I'm not going to shoot it. But I think that the guy telling him to shoot it is not going to tell him to shoot it if he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I agree with that either. Like, I think, well, I would think that they do know what it is. Yeah.
But if it's not causing an immediate threat, there's no reason to immediately strike.
Is the 360,000 year orbit theory Nibiru?
If it is over, if you can tell that it's a surveillance balloon or something like that of that nature, then yeah, shoot it down, because they were obviously like, it's unarmed I said it's unarmed, it's unmanned, and it's fucking trying to get intel on us. So yeah, shoot it down. Recover it as quick as possible, because especially if they saw it coming from the ocean before it even got to American soil, they should have shot it down immediately instead of waiting until it got all the way across the nation into the other ocean.
That was the Chinese balloon.
No, and I confirmed, because last week I said I thought they saw it coming since the Pacific Ocean, And then it was confirmed. They put out an article that said, we saw it take off. We saw it the whole time coming out of South China. And I was like, okay, well then what the fuck were you doing just letting it fly over the country? And then, so now you wonder how long they saw these balloons. One of them made them to fucking Michigan or whatever. Lake Huron is one of the Great Lakes, right?
No, yeah, that's just right north of us. Not right north, but...
So it's literally dead center in the country, and then you should, like, what is going on? I don't understand.
That stuff specifically with the balloon, the first one, right? Like we talked about it last episode. Like, to me, that signifies that maybe not Biden, but the Democrats, whoever it is, like knew this was happening, got called out by some, I don't want to say redneck, but some person up north was like, oh shit, I see this thing in the sky. Like, what's going on? And then they overreact like, oh yeah, we gotta, shoot this thing down, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it was all part of the game plan. China and I feel weird saying Biden, but whoever it is were in cahoots and knew this was going to be flying over. Just like let them do their thing. Like no big deal. I don't know. I don't mean to rant.
No, go ahead. Chat's blowing up right now, and I love it.
No, it's great. You guys chime in. Definitely. Do any of you fully trust any government anywhere? I know, and when I don't, and when they tell me something, I usually believe the opposite. 100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
I had the best response. I said, I don't always take exactly the opposite, but they're never telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help them.
I don't trust any of them.
No, that thought occurred to me too this week. Like I was sitting there thinking, I don't know what got me on this train of thought, but like the founding of our country, right? So we moved over to this country to start a new country because we felt like we were being oppressed by the government. So you had at least 3, 4, 5, 6 generations being raised to be like, you should not trust the government. It's evil. Like we're going to limit its power, not give them any control. They should just be there to serve us, right? That was the whole point, right?
Yeah, no, that is the most innately American idea that has ever existed.
And now it's completely flip-flopped. They're like, we were raised thinking we were the world police, we were morally correct, and like we had the high ground. Everything we did was justified. We're fucking awesome. Like
we're
the greatest power in the world. It's completely flip-flopped it.
I just explained this to a friend yesterday, and it was in a political context, but I think it'll suit this conversation well. I was talking about how when I was in high school or like younger than that, I always leaned Democratic because it was like free and open everything. And then to like be 30 and look at that time and what I thought was going on in politics, honestly, I don't know a whole lot. But now to be 30, and it seems like that side is like, no, you have to listen to the government word for word and do what they say as a Democrat. I'm like, that was not even close to what I was thinking at the time. I was on the side of Occupy Wall Street, and Occupy Wall Street was like tear down the corporate lies and malfeasance after 2008 or whatever. That was the Democratic side. It was, and then now it's like, no. Like a funny joke is Rage Against the Machine used to be politically active against.
Now they're Rage for the Machine.
Yeah, they're Rage on behalf of the machine. So it's like, I mean, I got to watch that in real time in a lifetime, and it's crazy to kind of take a retrospective view on what is happening in the world.
Yeah.
But I digress. In these shoot downs are insane, and they feel like a ploy. They feel like a look at this, look over here, because so much shit is happening over here.
Yeah, and they don't want to answer. Like, there's like not a lot of news coverage on these train derailments at all.
Exactly. Before we go off on anything else, I did like.
Yeah, we don't start into that too quick, but
no.
It's fucking crazy that like everyone's they want us to focus on this, and they say it's not aliens and it's not extraterrestrial by any means.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, I don't think it's fair to say like you're anti-Democrat or anti-Republican. What we have represented here in the States, I do not feel are true to either one of those, right? Like I would probably lean more toward, social democratic and all that stuff. Like I would be on board with that, just thinking along that vein. But the Democratic Party here in the States, like, fuck them, man. And the same for the Republican Party, man. Like there's values that I would identify as a Republican too, like 100%, like free market, all that stuff. Like I'm all on board, but the Republican Party we have here in the States, fuck them, man. Fuck both sides.
Fuck both sides. That's what I say.
I don't know. I don't mean to diverge on that, but I don't think it's fair to say like you're not Democrat based on what the Democrats are here doing in the States, because that to me isn't even like,
yeah.
Say what you will about Bernie, but he's probably the closest one, right?
The only reason I accept the libertarian moniker is because the things that the prominent fixtures of that party are saying are more aligned with what I believe and think. And so, am I libertarian? No. I'm absolutely not a hardcore libertarian. There's room for government, and the government does need to do some things. But do I want to increase taxes while I know that I don't know what is going on with the money that I send the government? No, absolutely not. Give me a sheet of what you spent my money on, and or you don't get to have any. And I mean, the Republicans want to spend government money just as much, but I don't align with Republicans on a lot of social views. I don't align with Democrats on a lot of social views either. So I don't think anyone is necessarily party based unless they're not really paying attention to what they think and what is going on. But you can closer align yourself with the party, and it is constantly changing, which is weird.
It won't work, but they will try. See, that the New World Order, I think that's what's really going on. I think it's just games they're playing to keep us distracted, but behind the scenes, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democratic. There's the elite, or wherever you want to call them, the powers that be behind the scenes, controlling everything. Yeah. Just keeping us distracted so they could continue to do whatever they want. Like, is anybody keeping up with inflation? How often do you hear about inflation these days? A lot.
Well, actually, it's still up. I might have. It went up this month, but let me parody this into what we talk about. Elon Musk have an idea, said, create national distress, swoop into rule. It's what's happening in Ukraine. That is 100% what the Patriot Act was. And the show we were supposed to have tonight was Oklahoma City bombing, and they passed an anti-terrorism bill that also infringed on the private rights of citizens during that. And we'll dig into that next week. But that is the game plan. It is create distress, take rights, erode your sense of privacy or ability to own things or whatever they want to take at the moment. A lot of them are economic.
No,
I mean, okay, so
let's want a social credit score.
Let's ease into these trains a little bit, maybe at this point. But
I think it's a good segue for sure.
So it wasn't 2, 3, 4 months ago. Biden makes it to where the railroad workers cannot strike.
Yep.
He made it illegal to strike. He made it a federal offense. They were about to strike because they weren't getting the paid sick leave that they wanted or whatever. I'm not a huge union guy, but I imagine it sucks dick to work at a railroad. It's like a pilot, but not. You just, like, I don't know how hard a train is, but I know being a pilot is harder. And I know pilots kind of get to walk around like this and get whatever they want, and they have a union. But train workers aren't allowed to strike? What are you talking about? And so I think that some of these tragedies we're seeing, or train derailments, if you want to put it easily, has to be related to that.
There's a lot to unpack there. And the first thing I want to say is that this train thing is a direct parallel to the 80s with Reagan, which was Republican, right? But the air traffic controllers all went on strike and trying to for better pay and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a Republican that squashed them. To me, that seems like, I don't know, that's hard because it seems un-American to say that you can't strike, right?
Yeah.
But also it does sound American because of the free market, shit like that.
Yeah, because of corporatism. But, and so what's really interesting is that airlines, if you want to contrast them, airlines are private companies that are like paid. They have been bailed out by the government so many times, and they have so many stipulations from the government that they might as well be government entities. They're probably one of the closest private companies to being a government entity. All of them, because they're so controlled by the what is it, the NAA or something? I don't know.
Not the TSA.
Well, the TSA plus the whoever rules the skies. It's a NORAD gets to tell them what to do, but that's the military side. There's a commercial civilian side that starts with an NFAA, something like that. The FAA.
FFA.
Yeah.
FFA. I thought that was a government entity.
Yeah, but they tell the airlines what to do. And so I'm sure there's a government entity that tells the trains what to do, but the trains are, especially this one in Ohio, they're owned by these private equity firms that own everything else, be it BlackRock, Vanguard. There's another one I can't remember the name of, where they own all the property in America. They kept, during COVID, they were buying all the new houses that were being built to where they own like entire neighborhoods. Damn. They also own these rail lines. And so, like, if you're getting into Ohio, they told the government they wanted the toxic chemicals to be burned off. And I'm sure they put it like, we need to dispose of it safely and quickly because it's very toxic. But they were like, let's burn it. Yeah.
No, that's literally what they're doing right now. That's what's causing the plumes, is that they're intentionally burning this stuff out.
Exactly. The people that told the government that's what we should do is the people that own the train lines, and that's those private equity firms that most of our politicians are probably bought into as well, be it BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, I think is the other one I was trying to think of. And so, like, the further you dig, the more it's about money and the more corrupted anyone who owns any power is by these same entities that are running the money in the world.
There's still so much left to unpack there, man. We'll get into it, I guess, but I don't know.
And so back to the opposing the, or I don't know, comparing and contrasting the airlines industries to the train industries, is that the airlines seem so hovered over as far as like being policed by the government because the government knows they have to bail them out. But the trains transport just as many goods, probably more important goods, obviously, if they're taking hazardous chemicals across the country. And they're like second class, like transportation. No one thinks about trains. They just bitch at them when they go across the road that leads to your home after work, you know?
I think there's more being transported by trains than any other format other than maybe trucks. But no, trains, I think the volume moved through trains far exceeds airlines, for sure.
Yeah. Did they establish what the reason was that they crashed in like Houston and Ohio? And
I don't think so. Jeremy has a kind of the how things work at train companies, PRS or something like that.
No, there was the term that's getting thrown around a lot in the wake of all this, but the Precision Scheduling Railroad.
PSR, okay.
PSR. It's just an idea that they're going to run on the most minimum requirements to like be most efficient and make the most profit, right? Like, how do we work the most people, the least people, the most amount of hours? How do we get away with cutting corners on safety inspection, stuff like that? There was one guy saying like there used to be like a 3-minute minimum for an inspection of a single car or something like that. It was like a 3-minute checklist. Like, you go through this checklist, you check it off, and it's like a 3-minute timer. They've cut that in half, so it's down to like 90 seconds now that you have to finish inspecting a car, and then you have to move on to the next. And if you're inefficient in your job, you're in jeopardy of losing your job. Like, it's creating scenarios in which you're encouraged to like speed through these inspections, and then you're like more efficient the more cars you do, so you get promoted the less, not the less you work, but the less diligent you are doing this stuff. It's a crazy, like, counterintuitive thing, right? You think the people that are in positions to inspect and like provide safety and like say this isn't up to standards and stuff, they're being such shorthanded with their jobs and being encouraged to like not skip stuff, but you know, do it in a very, very quick manner that you have to move and like not spend any time double checking or anything like that. You just got to move on, because how do we drive the bottom dollar, right? Like, you just got to get as much done as possible in the most amount of time. Like, that's the worst parts of capitalism.
Those train cars are huge, so 90 seconds seems like almost inconsequential.
A single cart, like a single whatever it is, 16-foot train cart, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's gonna take me more than 90 seconds. But so what I read on the internet was that because, and this is unsubstantiated, so just let me wander. This is a conspiracy show. They said that because of the PRS system they have, the Rapid
Precision Scheduling Railroad.
There you go. That they were trying to move this stuff so fast that for something like 20 miles, they knew their wheels were on fire, or the wheels that go on the rail. Apparently, there's some sensor that says how hot the wheels on those rails are, and they'll tell you to slow down or to stop or like to maintain a certain amount of heat on your wheels. And they just didn't do that, and they went, fuck them, blow through it, keep going, 30 miles an hour, full speed ahead. And that is what made them derail. But Sprinkles was asking, so did they burn the chemicals, or was it a fire caused by the crash? I heard they burned it to contain the spill. That is what happened, but they didn't. Okay, so it crashed, it spilled. Now I can't remember the name of that one because I looked at Tucson. It was a different chemical, and I can't store chemicals in my head.
But
it was vinyl.
Vinyl starts with an H, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't poly something vinyl. It was.
I'm sure it's one of the articles in the Discord.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It spilled, and then the train company.
I saw that video, Sprinkles.
In the conversation about how to, because that chemical was seeping into, and we'll get to this a lot. It was seeping into the water shed. Is it the watershed of the area? And into the Ohio River, to the point where like 3,500 fish washed up dead on the shore.
Yeah.
So the entire Ohio River basin is fucked all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico through Louisiana.
It's like the single
so much.
It's like the single largest not economic, but ecological disaster like in modern times, right? Like sans a terrorist attack or something like that, obviously, but like some kind of like man-made caused disaster leaking into.
25 million people get their drinking water from the Ohio River basin.
Damn.
And currently, at least at the top in Ohio, we'll see how it dilutes, I guess. I'm sure chemists already know this. But if it's killing the fish in the river in Ohio, probably don't drink it in Louisiana, is what I'm saying. But it's 25 million people that get their water from there.
No, I mean, you could be 30 years out from realizing this caused cancer for an entire generation, right?
Right. I mean, there's videos. I have this pulled up on the drive, actually. If you want to go under, it's dead chickens. Like 10 miles away from the crash, this lady has chickens, and they're all dead because they were outside. That's how fucked up this is. That's how noxious this chemical is.
Jeez. Killed the chickens.
I wish I could figure out how to work my computer. Why is this guy? Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah, they were showing video of the train traveling with sparks.
Dude, Ohio Chernobyl. I was just thinking in my head, like, this is such akin to Chernobyl, right? Like the whatever it's called, the there's the blast zone, and then there's the
First you contaminate the water, then you get the money, then you get the women.
Who said that?
Elon. It's appropriate coming from someone with the name of Elon too. He's got a bunch of kids.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so it is. I think it's a little more terrifying than it. Well, by the mainstream media is being given credit for, because they're not talking about it at all. But
you're sharing news articles while saying that the mainstream media is not talking about it. I think it's been pretty headlined.
No. They've been talking about the UFOs and stuff. This is part of the pushing into the side. It's not as big as the ecological disaster that it is.
Ecological. I would say that's more dependent on the news cycle. I think they're trying to get views, so anything that's new.
I saw the article Sprinkles was talking about. She said doctors have come out and told people to go to the doctor to get a health check so they can document the effects of the chemicals and get money afterwards.
I just said that, dude. Our children are going to be seeing commercials on the TV like, if you or a loved one was impacted by the East Palestine train wreck 30 years ago, have them contact lawyer. You might be entitled to financial compensation. Like, that stuff's going to be like, then you get to thinking like, oh, it was all by design. Like, then they're reaping the benefits of it 30 years later. I'm talking way.
It sounds like something that just happened to our whole Earth.
I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
but they signed a contract to where they'll never be responsible for any negative effects that happens from that.
What?
Let's leave that conversation there because that's kicked off.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything specific.
I want to hear it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
Don't know.
Appreciate the view, Elon. He's heading out to train himself for the inevitable apocalypse.
Dude, I'm slowly catching up on The Last of Us.
Oh, it's so good. I haven't watched the latest one.
Have you seen the Bill and Frank episode?
Yes.
Dude, I was in tears that entire episode.
Oh man, I didn't know that they were gonna.
Man, I don't want to spoil it, but that
go that way with it. I didn't know it was gonna be that.
This is my first exposure to The Last of Us. I never played the video game or anything. My only exposure
in the video game, it's open to interpretation on who Frank's partner is, or Bill's partner. One of them, because you, as Joel and Ellie, you meet. I think it's Bill, and he talks about Frank, and you never know who Frank is. And then in the show, they just added an extra episode and threw in their little love story.
Dude,
technically in the game, you don't know that he's gay.
It was the last episode. I mean, that didn't matter to me. I mean, I feel like they kind of got explicit with it, which
they got real explicit with it, and that's why everybody started freaking out, because everybody was like, "This wasn't part of."
It was such a beautiful episode. I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, no, it went both ways.
I heard that people only complain about the episode because they spent a whole episode on a plot that wasn't in the game.
Dude, that was probably my favorite episode of television, like by far, in anything I've seen. And it was just like a capsule episode of their relationship. It was
back on point about how the media isn't really talking about the Ohio train crash or whatever. This is like almost 2 weeks ago that this happened, and we didn't know about it until today or the day before. And they're telling people that it's okay to go back home, that the air is fine, but and they're not mentioning the water at all.
No, dude, you gotta get that.
Knowing that fish are
dying, and what's it gonna do to humans, and who knows how many years?
Right, or even like there's possible immediate effects.
Yeah, immediate, or that's what I'm saying. You just don't know.
Yeah. DeWine just said today to drink bottled water. Who's DeWine?
What? Like the mayor or something out there? Governor?
DeWine? Dwayne? The Rock Johnson?
Drink bottled water.
Isn't Nestle like somewhere up there too? Niagara? What? Where's Nestle water at? I thought that was somewhere up north like that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But still, the governor. Okay. Governor of Ohio.
Man, yeah, anything to encourage the money into the economy, I guess.
Well, that and like don't drink your tap water because it's fucked. It probably already had lead in it.
Fluoride and
whatever the fuck they were talking about with like what is it Chicago that still has lead in their water?
It was Michigan, I think.
I guarantee it.
And then so on top of that, there's also like extremely noxious chemicals that we don't filter for.
Oh man, I think we touch on this every time we hear some kind of negative stuff in the news. Like, is the world actually getting crazier, or are we just getting old enough to like pay attention?
Right.
I think maybe it is the second one.
I think the world is actually getting crazier. Like, I think I've had this conversation with my parents, and they're like,
It is getting crazier.
You got to think, like, the internet wasn't around 20, 30 years ago. Like
no, so exposing, like, the Epstein stuff and...
which is on our list.
Yeah. Exposing that and all the social media, like...
But
it's so different.
Click on the reporter arrested title under the Ohio...
Never even drink tap water? Sprinkles, I grew up drinking out of a water hose in my backyard.
Hell yeah, me too. I haven't drank tap water in probably...
What am I looking at?
15 years though.
When you're a kid, it's different.
A reporter got arrested for trying to report on the Ohio train derailment. So you're saying it's mainstream news, and I am bringing up mainstream sources, but they're deciding what gets out there.
Yeah, you're right.
Mike Flynn? You trusting this guy?
Well, no, I didn't think I clicked that one. That's a weird link to bring up. You're right. Maybe it's this video. I was looking at this video. This reporter's in Ohio. You clicked off the video.
Can you put it in the watch together?
I don't think so. It's a Twitter video.
Oh, it's a Twitter video.
It's like half on the screen.
I just can't see it.
This reporter went to Ohio to report on the Ohio train derailment, and she gets arrested for doing so. Like, maybe she broke the law. I'll give it that. But also, she's a journalist, so they get credit to not get arrested, right?
That's a man right here. I don't know where you're getting a woman.
Oh, I thought it was a girl.
Where is FEMA? FEMA seems like the biggest freaking joke in the world.
Yeah. That is a good point, though. Where FEMA shut up for Katrina.
Salsa, if you're still out there, there's a documentary on Netflix right now. And no, it's not Netflix. It might be Prime or Hulu, but it follows some of the hospitals after Katrina, and it's crazy, crazy, crazy shit.
Yeah.
They had like a list of prioritizing patients depending on what kind of insurance they had. Like, it's crazy.
Well, so if you're on the internet as much as I am, especially Twitter, there's been 4 derailments in the past day. 3.
So there was one in Texas that was not
Houston.
It was just Houston. That one was just like somebody having an accident. That wasn't any kind of.
Yeah, there's a truck on the rails, but that train also had noxious chemicals, but none of them spilled.
None of them spilled, and to what I'm the one that told you about that. I'm trying to give you credit, Salsa, but I forget my train of thought. But thank you. 5 Days at Memorial. Yeah, I watched it vicariously while you were watching it.
Watched it vicariously,
and so it was Ohio, Houston, North Carolina, and Tennessee all had train derailments. And so I took this step to look up how often train derailments happen. And it's about 1.5 times a day or something like that. Like, it's not that uncommon. But I think what is uncommon about it is that it's a train carrying dangerous chemicals, and that they are rather extreme derailments as far as like a bunch of cars falling off.
Elon said it earlier. I think it's an intercontinental attack, hacking the railroad technology and causing derailment to contaminate our water source. Like, that was kind of the vibe that I was getting, is that some of this stuff is potentially, like, I believe there's like a shadow war going on with a lot of this stuff. Like, we could be at war with another nation right now, and the government would just never even acknowledge it. Like, no, we're just shooting down these stuff because they're over our space. No big deal. Don't worry about it. Nothing's really going on. Oh, these trains are derailing. Don't worry about it. Nothing really going on behind the scenes. But in reality, there's another Cold War going on that they just won't own up to.
Yeah, they don't have to tell us anything until they have to tell us anything, but they decide when they have to tell us anything.
So I meant to talk about this too. So this goes all the way back.
Hang on, I got the timeline wrong. Let me correct myself and then go on with your thought. The 3rd is when Ohio happens. The 10th, this is actually pertains to the aliens. The 10th is over Alaska. The 10th is over Alaska. The 11th is over Canada, and the 12th is over Lake Huron. Is the shoot downs of the crazy. Who knows what they are? Whatever, Anch.
Ooh, so burn on Drake.
As I derail you from your thought, go ahead.
No, John just shared this.
That's fucked up. That's fucked
Trump's
up,
officials roll back Obama. So this, to me, hints more like the political ploys, the political games behind all this stuff. And I meant to touch on the MSU shootings because that, to me, is just another indicator that this stuff's going on. So you have these administrations, like, one will do something, they'll dial it back, and then there'll be some kind of political ploy. And I'm saying, like, these train derailments are part of it. But, like, look what you caused by rolling this stuff back. Like, now this is happening. Like, to me, it indicates that there's like this fight between those two powers, and like they're like, you did this, so we're going to cause this to happen to show like the ramifications of this. And it, I don't know, to me that's like the indicators of the game.
And it looks like someone posted an article without reading, because the first paragraph is Trump Monday repealed a mandate that would have required trains carrying crude oil to use special brakes.
This is an old article. This is from 2018. Trump's not repealing shit.
No, he did then.
He did then, but I thought you were saying that article.
No, I'm saying it's been 5 years, and it was only for trains with crude oil, and it was new brakes. It wasn't like we stopped doing something. It was like we didn't add something.
All right, get off your Trump horse. But it would have started with Obama, and then Trump, out of retaliation, dialed it back, and now Biden's being like, hey, look what happens. You're just saying this isn't specifically because it was specifically mentioning crude oil?
No, I'm saying that it is specifically crude oil, and it just removed the requirement for a certain set of brakes is what got repealed. So the article looks like this is Trump's fault, but in real life, it's like crude oil trains don't have super great brakes.
Well, you just mentioned it. It's the brakes. The brakes were the issue that caused the Ohio incident.
No, they're not.
There's videos of the tires squeaking and like sparks flying off them.
They do that if you go for too long. Your tires literally just start melting.
I don't know. I feel like it's all rolled up, and you can't just sit there and say it's... I don't know. I feel like you're nitpicking.
Was there crude oil on the train in Ohio? Because otherwise, this doesn't matter at all.
See, I don't think that's a caveat.
It's my point.
It doesn't matter. It's still bad. It still happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
Y'all want to take a break? We're at the hour mark.
We can take a break. I guess I can run to the bathroom or something. I'm out of coffee.
Yeah.
I probably should cut myself off.
I need several more beers.
Need water.
All right.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back with more current events. We're hopefully going to lead back into where we left off last week with the Oklahoma City bombings.
Into the show.
Waiting screen. You got it. And we're back.
Hello.
Yeah, that Trump article thing is kind of iffy. I don't know if we want to expand on it anymore, but yeah, definitely could go both ways on it, I guess. Yeah.
Way to lead us into the next topic, Jeremy. I closed out the drive. I don't know what it is. I'm so sorry.
This is live. Drake,
we are live.
You.
I guess we wrapped up the train conversation.
Drake, I love you, by the way. I love you too, Ranch.
Hey, it was a great show we caught on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I got to see Molasses and Ranch out at the show. Thanks for coming and supporting. It was a great show.
Able Delilah.
It was at a martial arts gym, and it made me want to get back into it. Because funny nut fact about me, I got my black belt in Taekwondo when I was younger.
Yeah, so I'll whoop that ass.
I didn't know that.
I'm a green belt. I'll probably win.
Yeah, I still have my black belt. I'll pull it out and bring it in a stream one day and show it.
So I guess last week there was an option to view the State of the Union. Did anyone go back and watch it?
Mm-mm.
No, because it was. Well, I watched clips and it was real fucking boring.
It was boring.
I hated it.
I did watch it and I did hate it. Earthquake created a deep chasm. Interesting. Who sent this?
Salsa. You guys aren't paying attention to the Discord, huh?
Damn, Salsa on it.
Not the Discord, no.
Do pull it out. Please pull it out.
Please pull it out?
They're making dick jokes.
Oh. Hell yeah.
Oh. You said we had a segue? What are we doing?
If anyone wants to jump in Discord, it's open.
Yeah, we can talk about whatever you want to. Any topics we've touched or might touch here coming up while we finish up the current events section. But I was talking about the State of the Union. I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
And it happened the first time Biden gave. Maybe it was the second time. Maybe it was the first, and this is the second. Who knows? The other State of the Union that I've watched by Biden was very similar to this one, in that he says a lot of things that are like it almost sounds like Trump giving a speech if he could manage to not sound like a total dickhead. Like he's just saying we're bringing manufacturing back to America. We're going to make stuff in America. We're going to make America better than it was. Like he's just using the Build Back Better slogan as if it was a Make America Great Again slogan. And he's just saying things that he's not going to do. He's a politician.
You just described every politician.
He's saying the same things Trump would say during his State of the Unions, but obviously Trump sounded different. And so it's like, it really makes you think that State of the Unions mean nothing. They're just PR events.
Yeah.
Can you talk straight for an hour, Biden, please, God? Here's some Ritalin.
When you give him a script, sure. He's just reading from the script.
Yeah, if he just reads, he's good. But his slogan, Build Back Better, is the exact same slogan as the World Economic Forum's Build Back Better, their New World Order.
That's true, too.
That's scary.
I think Davos...
But Jeremy's globalist. He's not scary.
I don't know if we talked about it, but Davos was, like, somewhat recently. I think you were trying to bring it up.
I was. It was the CEO of Pfizer. He was getting harassed. Not harassed. It was really funny. He was being interviewed and he was refusing to answer.
Klaus Schwab got kind of media jumped as well.
Yeah, I just retweeted a video of Klaus Schwab just a few hours ago. And let me read exactly what he was saying.
Okay, but we read it with the appropriate German accent.
Okay, I can do that for you.
Oh shit!
We believe that the technology.
All right, so hold on, let me find it.
I can't do accents worth of shit. You guys are blowing my mind.
I practice German accents every day.
That nice.
Fuck, I can't find it.
Why'd I throw Borat?
I saw one.
My name is Borat. Hello, I am world leader.
My
life.
I can't find it.
All right.
It was scary.
He's
a fucking supervillain, dude.
No, I saw one where he said whoever owns the technology or masters the technology first can master the world. And I was like,
that's it. Literally.
Why are you thinking that way? That was.
Why do you want to sound like a Bond villain?
Yeah.
Oh, but him and his slogan, "You will own nothing and be happy," and we will. What are y'all laughing at?
The chat. I vote Drake uses the accent for the rest of the show. It's kind of hot.
Okay, I can use the German accent for the episode today on Funny Nut Videos.
Oh my god.
What did we say? That was all based on the State of the Union. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot there. I'm glad we didn't do that, and we finished up Manson last week. That was the right decision.
I did a couple impressions on Manson too, but I don't know if it was that good.
I fucked up a goofy. Was that last week?
I rewatched it twice, and both times it fucking made me laugh.
Dog, I tried to do it again on the Rolling Third because I was.
You fucked up again? Did y'all do a Super Bowl episode?
Yeah. I was telling the story about how I fucked up that accent and tried to do it. Then I was like, I still didn't do it. It doesn't matter.
Shit.
And so what do we think that the apart from the trains, obviously, what do we think that the UFO stories might be hiding? I guess is the next point to get onto. Like, if they're using this facade as we're shooting things down, who knows if it's even real to hide things? Obviously, they're not covering the train derailment in Ohio as they should be. And it's not even the fact that the train derailed. It's the ecological disaster that is born out of the chemicals that were spilled and then burned. And so apart from that, I think they're hiding some more stuff. Do y'all have any?
I don't have necessarily anything specifically, but I did want to ask, like, I haven't seen Biden personally address any of this stuff, like outside of the State of the Union. Have you seen him on any kind of press conference or on TV?
No. They're just saying he knows all this, and these are from him. These are his answers, and it's like, no, he's not answering shit. He has people answering for him. He's the face of America, and we need to stop giving him all this credit that's not really his.
Well, Jean-Pierre, what's her name, said our best communicator is the president. And I was like, you're fucking crazy. But, damn, what was the point right before that? I totally just lost my train.
We haven't seen Biden address any of this stuff.
Yeah. Here, I get to it. The Pete Buttigieg, who dropped out, got the transportation secretary job. Literally had a forum, some type of talk that he was giving or being interviewed at something yesterday, and didn't bring up the worst ecological disaster to come from a train wreck in the history of America. Didn't talk about it. He was just talking about how
was this the Secretary of Transportation you're talking about?
Yeah, his train of thought was, it's terrible for the communities that we're spending this infrastructure money in, because in those communities, the people you see working those jobs don't look like people from the community. And it's like, hey, dude, why don't you shut the fuck up about this and start talking about the goddamn train in Ohio, buddy? That's your fault. Southwest Airlines' fucking crazy disaster at Christmas is your fault. You're in charge of transportation. Will you talk about transportation, please?
It is pretty crazy. I don't know. My point, though, is like you have literally a job designated, right? So you have 3 branches of the government. You have the judicial, the other one, and then the president, right? Which is supposed to be the figurehead of the fucking country. Like, if you have somebody there to represent the country,
hold on, legislative, executive.
I know what it is. It just blew my mind for a second, but you literally have somebody in position that is there to like be the spokesperson of the nation, right? It's the figurehead of the country, and he is absent.
Yeah.
Not only is he absent, from all evidence that we've seen, he is absent-minded. There we go.
Well, during his, and this is years ago, but during his presidential election, they called a lid on their, what do you call it? It doesn't matter. Their campaign. They called a lid every other week, which means we're not talking to anybody. During COVID, Biden went nowhere and talked to no one and became president. And part of that is how polarizing Trump is, but that is per the course for Biden to be underground, to only speak when spoken to only say what has already been written for him. That's what got elected. That has been since he ran for president. So it's kind of hard to even like harp on that. It's like, yeah, I mean, what do you expect? You think he's going to post a tweet that really came from him? You think he's going to make a video? Yeah,
he's gonna post a tweet.
He isn't.
I don't think we've seen.
Jeremy and I were sending a video to each other on Instagram today about Robin Williams went back when Joe Biden was vice president, and Robin Williams was talking mad shit about him, and it was so funny.
Yeah,
it was great.
I would like to see that video if you can find it.
Yeah, I'll send you it.
But, so I get your point, but like, what would you expect to be happening otherwise? Is my point.
I would think that he would address the nation, like get on TV and be like, "Hey, you know, what happened in Michigan?"
Any other fucking president would.
Yeah.
What happened in Michigan was a tragedy. Like, here I am addressing it. I'm going to go meet with these families and talk to them and stuff like that. Nope, no word. Yeah. Nothing like that. Nothing. Well, the point that I'm trying to make, there's nothing spontaneous. There's no original thought. Like, it's vetted. It's like he gets handed a script. He gets a designated schedule of when he's going to appear, and like prepped and like drugged up and ready to go. Nothing can be spontaneous and thrown at him like, hey, have a genuine reaction to this stuff and tell us what you think, like how it's being handled. No, he can't do that. It's not within his capacity. That's why we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit. Do you remember when he can't answer any question that's not pre-planned?
Do you remember when we killed the leader of ISIS when Trump was in office? Like al-Baghdadi, I think maybe his name was, or Soleimani or something.
That was Hillary.
Al-Baghdadi?
I think his name was Baghdadi, which was a dope name. That's probably why he's the head of ISIS.
Yeah, he was definitely the top fucking dog.
I will listen to Baghdadi.
I am Baghdadi.
We killed him. It was like a drone strike or whatever. And then Trump like walked from the war room to the microphone and was like, "We killed the leader of ISIS. He whined like a dog about like a person we just killed as a country." You're never getting anything like that from Biden. He's not even going to mention it. He's not going to go on TV without a 2-page script. They're not going to do that.
And hours of rehearsal.
So I totally appreciate the point you're making in that, like, nothing, like, Baghdadi.
No, I mean, if there's anything that Trump was proficient at, was just spewing bullshit. He can get in front of a camera and just go, like, just say whatever the fuck comes to mind. But Biden's like,
we're not getting impromptu press conferences. He's not going to. With the Ohio thing, you might expect the president to make a speech.
With the Michigan school shooting shit, like, he should have been on television that night going like, hey, this is a fucking tragedy.
The governor, yeah, exactly. He should have, but the governor was like,
the next thing that he did was some kind of like public fundraising event for some governor or some shit. Like, it wasn't even to address that. It was just like he had already had a scheduled meeting with some, like, I think it was his home state, like Massachusetts or wherever it's from. Like, he had some public fundraising event that he was speaking to, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to lead off and say that it was such a tragedy.
The governor of Michigan said that she had talked to him personally, and they were backing the MSU with resources they need for any kids that need therapy for the trauma they just experienced.
Are y'all ready to get wild?
Not kids, but students of that campus.
I have a theory, and it's not real, but I want to say it out loud because I think it's an interesting thought to think of. Since we don't know what these shoot downs are at all, because they're not telling us, these things that aren't balloons, but aren't aliens, but aren't anything we're aware of, what if they're actually intercepting like ICBMs or enemy fighter planes or something like that, and they're shooting those down, and then they don't want Biden to give that speech, so they're just saying we shot down crazy metal things that we don't know what they are.
I mean, that kind of leads into what I was saying. Like, there's potentially like a whole war going on, and they're just like, nope, don't worry about it. It's just, that's where your military black budget's going. Just don't even fucking worry about it. Like, that's the reason we have these jets, but don't worry about it.
We know Biden's not a wartime president, and we're still trying to get reelected after the next cycle. So for the next 2 years, there's not a war.
Dude, that was another thought I was just talking to Sauce with about too. Like, at what point are they going to pull an FDR and be like, hey, we're in wartime. It's like, we can't afford a presidential election right now. Like, Biden gets another 4 terms just on the caveat that we're at war or some shit like that. And it's not just even a war.
Like, evil.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
It's all weird to think about for sure.
I mean, some of it seems like it's just, I don't want to say repeating history because this is unprecedented stuff that I feel like is happening, but.
Okay, I want to put us in a scenario, and whatever you think about Trump, I'm pretty middle of the road on him. If the country shot down 3 unknown objects and Trump is still on Twitter, what do you think he tweets?
I think
we don't know what they are, but we sure fucked them up.
Like, I think we would know far more than we know now, but it would probably all be bullshit.
Yeah, that's
They're
fair.
all from China. They were all from China. Look, the Chinese balloon, it barely got past us, but we shot it down, and we shot down 3 others just for the fuck of it. We even shot down a bird, and we sent it straight to the fucking president of China.
I call that all bird daddy.
Oh man, you guys are too good at those.
I know. What am I doing? I need to be a fucking stand-up comedian. No,
oh damn,
I'm not that funny.
All right, so maybe something else they're hiding. The Biden doc or the Epstein doc. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was on the list too.
Epstein docs came out. From what I have gleaned, they are the flight logs that were already out. It's like the JFK documents that came out. It's like you're releasing shit we know because we're asking you to release shit.
And it's going unnoticed because of everything else that's going on.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's another thing they're hiding with the fucking, apart from the trains, it's the goddamn UFOs. They're like, we're going to have a press conference on these things where we're going to give you no information, but we shot them down. Yeah. And it's like, okay, how about the trains? Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Okay, what about the Epstein document? Yeah, that's not on our radar either. We haven't written that script yet. So, like, Epstein docs did drop, and it's got a lot of the names we knew were in it, but it's in a different format, is what I saw. So you have, I think I didn't even write this link down. Trump's in it, obviously. Clinton is in it a lot.
Obviously.
Yeah.
What about your boy Bill Gates?
Bill Gates is in it.
Obviously. That's your boy.
Someone named Chris Tucker that I don't think is the Chris Tucker. And then someone named...
Chris Tucker said that he... okay, so one thing about Epstein's plane is it didn't just go to his island. Like, it went to a lot of different places. So people would get on that plane to go to another place, and they wouldn't even stop at the island. So I think it was Chris Tucker and a few other actors
Kevin
were like,
Spacey.
no, he might have went there.
I think it was the name John Bolton or John Ryan, whoever owns Fox right now.
It's Murdoch, I thought.
No. I think Murdoch
doesn't own Fox.
No, Murdoch is on trial for killing his wife and son, and his name is Alex. That's a different Murdoch. Y'all been watching that? That's crazy too.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit, man.
The current CEO or owner of Fox is named John something, and his last name is, he shares a name with a famous person, and I can't remember the famous person.
Murdoch. It's Rupert Murdoch owns Fox.
No, dog, it's not. Who's the CEO then?
Disney.
Yeah, right. Suzanne Scott.
CEO of Fox, Lachlan Murdoch. Maybe it's his son.
All right, maybe I got some bogus ass information.
Dude, check your facts.
Gosh, I can't believe you would even talk.
Dude, this is Funny Nut Theorios, not Funny Nut Facts, okay?
Yeah, we're just making
John Smith. Yes, it might be John Smith. I think mayonnaise is correct, actually.
He just said Smith. Weird. He didn't say John Smith.
Yeah, why'd you say John Smith?
Remember when they took... Remember what they took from us. President Z, sorry, not sorry to burst your bubble, but if you ever try to fly one of your cheap made in China balloons over the U.S. again, it's a comedic goldmine, that guy.
So that's the tweet you would have got.
Yeah.
How would you not have that in your head? And you're right, like even as a guess. Yeah, it must not be Smith. It doesn't matter. But it is a list of the same names, essentially. We're on the Epstein list. Nothing is going to come out of that. They're going to Epstein us like they do JFK and like they do maybe 9/11 or something, where they just release docs that don't matter, or they're redacted all to hell, and then 5 years later you get them unredacted, and it seems like horseshit. That's what the Epstein docs were.
You know, we've covered a lot of shit on this podcast. I think we're like 20-something episodes in at this point, maybe right at 20, actually. But a lot of conspiracies that I was on the fence about, and now I'm very confident that they were conspiracies and government involvement and shit. We need to make a point to say, like, what were the ramifications of these conspiracies? Because, like, even the MLK shit, like, I'm convinced that was, like, a government. Like, he was assassinated, for sure, by our government. What happened? Absolutely. The CIA is still around. The FBI is still around. Like, what? Yeah. Who was held accountable for that shit? Nobody. Nobody.
James Earl Ray.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the FBI or the CIA. Like, who? Like, why are those? That's it.
Because the government. Here's the reason that I stray libertarian / anarchist. I know I said the government has its place, but it's I believe in government as long as I can trust it, and I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that governments in all shapes and sizes are not to be trusted. But I'll digress. When things like that happen, when MLK dies, when JFK dies, the people the government hires to investigate the government are government employees, government workers, embedded people in the government who want to attain more power within the government, because the people who try to attain government jobs that don't require trade knowledge, like just being head of maintenance of all the school system or whatever, if you're like running the political side of being in government, then your personality is one that wants to attain power or some sense of significance. And so we hire those people to investigate other people who are trying to maintain a sense of power. And they go, guess what? I'll give you some power if you let me keep the power that I have. And that's how the government investigates itself. So if we're looking at situations like JFK or MLK, there's no way that, I mean, we've dug into MLK and knew that the president at the time picked the committee and said, these are your mandates, don't go over them or you're going to get in trouble, to the committee. They weren't trying to get to the truth. They were trying to cover their own asses. And so it didn't matter if the FBI did it or James Earl Ray did it. The government wasn't going to tell you either way. And so that's the problem that we're running into. That's the reason governments are not generally combative towards the people they maintain power over. Because
I agree with you. I don't feel like you answered my question, but I do agree with what you're saying.
Well, the populace wants truth and the government wants to stay in power. And so the reports you're going to get out of the government are those that will keep them in power. There's not been a president in our lifetime who has relinquished power, including Trump. The only person I would vote for president is someone who goes, I'm going to start tearing the government apart the second I get in. And people jumped on the Trump train because he said he was going to drain the swamp, but he fucking didn't. So So fuck him for that.
I mean, JFK said he was going to get rid of the CIA, and then they fucking killed him.
They killed him.
I don't know. Like, it seems crazy to think, like, if you were some private citizen and you just ran on that platform, like, hey, like, there's so much fucking building evidence that this is just corrupt all the way to the top. And then, like that should be a successful platform on its own to be able to say, like, I mean, that's Trump, right? Like, I'm outside of the system. I'm not part of it.
And most of this power falls outside of the purview of presidents. I mean, if you take a look at Alan Dulles, he ran MK Ultra in the CIA. He was involved in the OSS. His fucking brother became Secretary of State. His brother decided who we went to war with, and he decided what we were going to do to him. They had more power than the presidents over them, and they told the president what they thought he wanted to know.
I've
Eisenhower or Truman. It's like that's how governments get fucked up. And so you look at a president, and they're supposed to be seeing over all this shit while it's going on, but how much are they really? Like, if you look at Trump, a lot of people were not telling him things specifically. He thought we didn't have soldiers in Syria, and we fucking lied to him. We still got like 10 grand over there.
Man, that is the stuff that gets me. Like, it's supposed to be the service to the people, and they're not even. I fully agree with you. I think the president is just some stupid, like, it's like Pinocchio. They have them in place. They limit the information they give them to them, and then they just kind of put them in front of a podium, be like, hey, just spew this information. It's bullshit anyways.
They're the face of their country.
But they're there to serve us. Like, what the fuck are we even doing? Like, all of our tax money goes to them, all this stuff, and it's just like they get this blank check. And we keep saying, like, the black budget, all this stuff, they just get handed up.
The systems in place that surround politicians and the way money runs in DC requires you to not give a shit about the people.
Yeah, because the system is fucked up.
All the money that gets you elected is from special interest groups who you have to please.
Is that not...
You're pleasing the money, you're not pleasing the people.
Is that not late stage capitalism? If you let capitalism run its course, is that not where we're at right now?
Well,
go ahead.
There's laws. No, I think you're mostly right. But there's laws, and we don't have laissez-faire capitalism. So it is a slight against laissez-faire capitalism. We do have election money laws, which get broken every time there's an election.
What election? What are you talking about?
And they get skirted. You're not allowed to donate more than a certain amount unless you're part of a PAC, which I disagree with because they're treating PACs like corporations and where they're not real people. It's a problem. I agree with you. There's problems with the current system. Mm-hmm. And it is corrupted in that way. I'm trying to point out the corruption, but I don't think it's a capitalistic problem. I think it's a... So the explanation for capitalism is that when people think of capitalism, they think of laissez-faire capitalism. They think of capitalism with no bounds. It's all about what you can provide and what someone can pay for it. And that is very easily corrupted. And this is another part why I'm a libertarian and I'm an anarchist. There do need to be rules against how money can be used, especially when you're trying to govern people. And our laws now are set up and will not be changed by the politicians because the politicians make money and election money when they're running. All the money they get, there's been like 6 fucking blue collar donated people running for president in the last 10 years. And it's been Bernie Sanders. It's been Ron Paul, who had the most veterans donate to him because he was trying to stop all the wars. Trump was pretty high on the list, but it's probably for not the right reasons. What's the guy who bought TV space and ruined he made George Bush not reelected? I forget his name, but that's my point, though, is that like you have to. The way it functions now is there's not enough laws, so the politicians make the money and get the money to campaign from private interest groups, special interest groups, lobbyists, and so when they get elected, their sense of responsibility is not to the people who cast the vote, it's to the people who spent the dollar.
Who paid for it.
and that's a problem.
Who bought them? Wasn't that Bernie's thing too? Like he wanted, I mean, not literally, but the sentiment was that like when you're even campaigning, when you're doing the presidential debates, you should have a Letterman jacket on with every sponsor.
You should have a NASCAR jumpsuit, and I should know who paid for you. And if it has Pfizer on it, I'm not voting for you, asshole.
Yeah. That's the game. That's why they would never allow that, right? Like, because it would be all these Fortune 500 companies. Like, they would just be lying.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Bernie Sanders over there and be individual private names that contribute.
Yeah, those patches look way worse than a fucking Ukraine flag pin.
It just seems so broken.
Did you see that guy in the White House press? What's his name that was talking? Is his name John? What's his name?
John Smith?
Something.
It's something. But the guy that was talking in that White House press conference, he was saying that Ukraine is so innocent and that Putin attacked them. They didn't have it coming.
Maybe
and I was like, no, they're definitely a very corrupt fucking country. Like, I'm not saying bomb the fucking people and women and children because that is awful. But he is literally saying like, oh, they're so innocent. It's like, dude, no, their country is very corrupt. They have a very corrupt government, just like we kind of do.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of I like that spin that you put, talking about how corrupt the American government is, and then talking about how we're spending so much money on Ukraine, who has a notoriously corrupt government.
Exactly.
So in opposition to Russia, who has a notoriously corrupt. So like, where's the money we're spending going?
Yeah, we send them over $80 billion, but then we have homeless people fucking everywhere. We have veterans that are just kicked out after they served however many years for their nation, and now they have all these different traumas, and they need certain medicines and certain remedies in order to freaking cope with life, and you just throw them out on the street and call them fucking crazy. We don't let women fucking have rights to their own bodies over here anymore. It's so fucking stupid.
Well, and on top of that, where like the money at home is being spent poorly, we have receipts from the president's son getting paid from a Ukrainian energy company that he's on the board of, and he doesn't speak the fucking language. And so like, we have those receipts, and we're funneling more money over there under the father of the guy that we have the receipts from. Like, how seriously can you take the money we're sending over there, even with all the propaganda about how evil Russia is? And I'm not on Russia's side.
Yeah, but I'm not standing up for Putin.
But Russia signed an agreement with NATO that NATO would not encroach upon Russia's borders. And since that agreement was signed, all NATO has done is encroached upon Russia's borders.
And Russia's like, all right, bitch, you're getting real fucking close.
Yeah, I think Russia is out of bounds, but I also think it's hard to not understand where they're fucking coming from.
They told them for years, and like you said, just keep getting closer. And then finally they got pushed past the point of it. And Putin's not a dude that you fuck with.
Yeah. Well, I would...
I think he'd be a guy.
I wouldn't want to go to war with him. I'm just saying.
Well, I'll tell you what, Trump had him under his goddamn thumb.
And Biden fucking doesn't.
In the weirdest way ever.
No, Trump, if anything, Putin's got Biden under his thumb, right?
Yeah.
Literally, and that's not good.
And so, like, what is happening to Ukraine is an atrocity, and it is a problem. And if we are the world police, we ought to do something. But I think what we're doing is nothing at all, and we're laundering hundreds of billions of dollars through an already known corrupt country. And I don't think that you can talk me out of that.
What?
Yeah, what? I'm laughing at Sprinkle's comment. She said,
"What's going on with your straw there, Wasabi?"
I was so happy with your straw. What the fuck?
The same thing.
Is there like no gravity in your room right now? What's going on?
I don't know, dude. I'm drinking beers, not Diet Coke.
There's no whiskey in that Diet Coke?
No.
Clayton has a special suck.
the kind that lingers.
Fucking linger. There's I hate it's lingering.
There was their meme on. I'm not gonna do it. Never mind.
I like giving my perspective and gathering others' perspectives on things like this. And I mean, I happen to personally know a Ukrainian
You what?
I know someone that was born in Ukraine.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty cool.
He's great. I think he is vehemently against Russia and obviously for Ukraine.
Oh, that would make sense.
And so am I in the moral sense. But the second I take the context in that I understand in that NATO's kind of a piece of shit and encroaching on Russia, Russia is kind of crazy and has always been. Ukraine used to be part of the USSR. They already took Crimea under Obama. Trump walked in and said, don't you touch a goddamn thing or I'll bomb Moscow, and sent Ukraine weapons. And then Biden gets in and they go, I guess we're fighting NATO and invade Ukraine. That is important context. And they decided when to invade.
I think we touched on that too on a couple episodes back. I mean, not to go back. I mean, to go back, like with the population stuff, right? Russia is one of the nations that was on the decline of their population. So I think we touched on a few episodes back, but like they know that their population's in such decline, they have to like have an influx of it. And the easiest way to do that is to invade another country to kind of grow your population.
They did. And they also have a lot of like Northern Asian prisoners of war that they're sending in as soldiers, which is a problem.
Really?
I have so many. I have such an issue with saying it's like Russia versus Ukraine or anything like that. I don't feel like the citizens are even at war with each other. It's just these fucking fuckheads.
Yeah. Well, and General Milley just said that Ukraine is gaining ground and that Russia is losing. But I'm seeing conflicting articles that Russia is assembling air superiority and ground troops and everything at their borders as if they're getting ready to make a huge push. As in like an end of the war, Ukraine is ours push. And so when you see those two conflicting articles, one from a U.S. general and one from, not, it's hard to understand what is even going on. But the only reason that there's any complexity in the only reason there's any complexity in what is going on with that war is because NATO has not decided, and by NATO, I mean 90% fucking the United States of America. They haven't decided to press the accelerator yet. And so it more seems like Russia is fighting Ukraine plus, and Russia can fight Ukraine plus as long as we fought fucking Afghanistan, which is 25 fucking years.
Definitely.
And but to know that if NATO, and by NATO I mean 90% the United States of America, if they decided to press the accelerator, then Russia doesn't exist anymore. And so it's hard to tell how much we are fucking with them so they won't use their nukes, and how much we're actually trying to make Ukraine win the war. Because we have the entire military industrial complex behind us, they don't want the war to end. They want the war to keep going. 100%. They want to send as much shit to Ukraine as we possibly fucking can.
They're at a year now.
Yeah. And so like, we're not pressing the accelerator, so it's bullshit until someone does it.
No, I 100% agree, right? It's like it's the war on terrorism, the war on drugs, anything they could do to kind of keep this stuff going. It's like...
It's a hot, cold war.
It's the highest level of money laundering.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's just another way to wash all this money.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like fucking Cheney. He became a billionaire off the Iraq war after selling...
Cheney, man. Cheney...
I know! Fuck! But honestly, what's it called? Vice. It's a really good movie.
That is almost on the level of satire. I wouldn't take anything of that face value, other than the fact that he 100% was running that administration, for sure.
Yeah, he's running the administration, but yeah, don't go watch that and be like, this is what happened.
It's not a historical fact. I mean, a lot of it was dramatized. I mean, he did shoot a guy.
He did, and Christian Bale played him great, though.
Christian Bale's kind of in the same guy.
Fantastic, man. He's fantastic.
He's not a fantastic man. He's a fantastic actor, but he's
a fantastic actor. Do you know him? Because I don't.
Well, if there was a biography about me that was being made, and they were like, Christian Bale's going to play you, I would go, yes. Yes, he is.
I would be like, yes, he is. Yes. Perfect.
If you had to pick any actor to play you individually in a biopic, who would you pick?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I would pick Leo or
Matthew McConaughey. Jonah Hill's a good pick. Jonah Hill's a good pick.
Jonah Hill can play fucking anybody. I don't care what you say.
But Matthew McConaughey is from Tyler. I think he would understand
He's from Longview, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
Stupid. Yeah, because our band director went to high school with him.
McConaughey's a good pick. I think we've done this game before, actually, and mine was Paul Rudd.
Oh, Paul Rudd is such a good one, and I look just like him in Our Idiot Brother. Maybe I would pick Paul Rudd.
It's just that movie. They've already done it.
Yeah, right. Maybe
he has to get his Vice body back.
Maybe Tom Cruise, because there's never been a bad Tom Cruise movie.
Yes, there has.
No, he's been middle of the road or really good.
What's
actually.
A bad Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah, pick a bad one.
Okay, let me pull up his.
Oh god, what is this? The Rolling Third?
Yeah, this is turning into a Rolling Third episode.
I don't give a fuck. This is current events. Tom Cruise is very relevant.
Is he?
Yes,
I think he wants to be.
I get it. John was saying I'm fat because in Vice.
Because in Vice he's fat.
What a dickhead.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't catch that. Appreciate that, Mayonnaise.
I don't look fat in this video.
The Mummy that came out in 2017.
Was that
trash?
Bad? I didn't see it.
Oh, The Mummy was not good. You're right. That's one. Name another one. Dare you.
Like most of the fucking latest Mission Impossibles.
They're not bad. They're mid.
Yeah, we're doing bad, not mid.
Oh my god. Fine, then mids.
Oh, don't play that game, man. That's like 75% of
it was made lately.
Hey, dog, if I was an actor and all I made was mids, I'd be a successful actor for my entire life. And I would run a church called Scientology, where I would brainwash people.
He's not running the church. He might be the figurehead.
He's not running it. He's just giving millions into it, and he still gets defensive if you say it's fucking stupid.
All right.
Can somebody give me like a 10-second synopsis of what Scientology is?
No, that'll never happen.
Go watch South Park, and it'll explain it perfectly. I promise you.
Okay, so something crazy happened last night. We need to get to that before the show ends for sure. MSU, Michigan State University, had a shooter on campus. I think we're covering
some good links in there if we want to watch any of those videos.
We
have like 15 minutes now. We're good.
But it's pertinent because it just happened. And I maybe last episode probably brought up the idea that during MK Ultra they were testing LSD to try to brainwash people. And that the week before, Jeremy had brought up a graphic. It would be great if you could bring that up right now if you still have it. Where serotonin, psilocybin, I think, and LSD were very similar chemical structures. I know nothing about the shooter, so
I found some stuff on him.
Maybe let's try to remove it from the Michigan State shooting, as I use that as a segue, which is flawed at best. But I brought up the idea how I believe that MK Ultra has transitioned from LSD to specifically hone in on serotonin, and the best way to do that would be with a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRIs or depression pills or whatever. And that most of the school shooters we've seen, or mass shooters, including the Dark Knight shooter, and there's a multitude. Most of them are impressionable young men. I think the Dark Knight shooter was a little bit older, but he was on SSRIs as well. If you watch him in court, he looks fucking crazy. He looks like Jolly West just warped his mind. But Jolly West was long dead before that. But and so then we have a mass shooting, and I guess it is a tragedy, obviously, Michigan State, but
it wasn't a mass.
So far, three people have died. 5 people are in critical condition. So hopefully those people are able to survive. But technically, if they're in critical condition, he might take more than just the 3. Hopefully not, though. So that the video I sent y'all, that briefing.
He ran that campus for 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because I think it started around like 8:30. It was like the first shot or something, and he was found I think at like 11:30. And he killed him. He killed himself. Yeah, he shot himself. Yeah. And the FBI took one weapon, but they wouldn't announce what it was.
They did
probably because they did. Oh, did
they said it was an automatic full or high capacity magazine or something like that. It was a talking point.
I want you to prove that because the video I just watched just a few hours ago was saying the FBI hadn't thrown anything out there yet.
Well, the video I saw was Biden going, hey, the gun that he used was the very gun that we're trying to ban. Like, there's no justification for automatic weapons with high
AR-15?
capacity.
Was it a fucking AR-15?
It was an AR-15 with a high capacity magazine. And that's what Biden's talking point was, is there's no justification for magazines with this round limit. And
yeah, but he said crazy shit. Well, and I, just to be very clear before I said this was crazy, I don't think any part of any gun should be banned. I think automatic guns should probably be more legal than they are, and that we should just promote the use of having guns. But he said no one should have a 50 to 70 round magazine.
He said there was no logical reason to be able to have that high capacity of a magazine. Yeah.
I think Salsa's right. I don't think he's spoken on the MSU shooting yet.
There's one video out there, and that's what I was trying to allude to earlier. It was something
the same video
he already had scheduled, and it was on behalf of some like governor of his home state, like promoting his campaign or something.
Right. And so let me finish my point. He said 50 to 70 rounds in a magazine, which I don't even think a double drum magazine carries that.
That's like a fucking like a chain gun. I think it was
actually fucking stupid that he said that. But if there were a 50 to 70 round magazine, yes, I think you should be able to have it.
Drum magazines, yeah, those are
no
50.
No, I don't even think so, dude. On an AR, drums are probably this big. You probably maybe
it's probably close to 100 rounds or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like 100. But most clip capacities for those type of weapons are like 30 rounds.
Right. Mental health should be priority over all else.
It seems like, so from what I read, the guy that was the shooter, Anthony McRae, I think is his name. He was in his 40s. He was not a student, a faculty member or anything. So that's what they're trying to figure out right now, is why he went onto that campus and did what he did. And apparently he had like a note on him saying he was going to threaten like 2 different schools. I think one was even somewhere else. It wasn't even in Michigan.
It was like New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey, I think it was. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I put the link in there. I put 2 different links in there that I found on him. But apparently he would use like his backyard for target practice, and his neighbors were calling the cops a lot. So they had him arrested in 2019 on a gun charge because he didn't have he was calling
fucking up, man.
Is it? I don't know why.
You're good now.
Okay.
Maybe. Shit. There you go. You're good. Go.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. Basically, he was doing a lot of target practice, and he got arrested in 2019. I think he was even supposed to serve like 5 years, and that didn't even happen. So how the fuck he still had guns after this is really shocking. Yeah. It kind of...
No, he pled down from a felony. They let him out of the felony concealed carry and gave him a misdemeanor. And so I think he was allowed to own guns, but obviously you're not allowed to run on it. You're not allowed to have a gun on campus at all. You're not allowed
and he couldn't conceal one either. And
right. Well, and yeah, and that might be the laws in Michigan, actually.
Yeah, I don't know the gun laws in Michigan.
That's where Rittenhouse happened. So you can either have a rifle or you can have concealed carry if you're permitted.
And was that the shooting that happened just like 14, 15 months ago? I can't remember which one that was, but didn't Michigan suffer just... What?
Rittenhouse was George Floyd.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Might have been Illinois. I might be way off. I'm sorry.
Dude, that's one of the sadder aspects of this stuff. The Michigan school shooting is that there are kids there.
It happened like 14 months ago, though, because that's what one of the ladies was saying in that press conference was like, she's like, I can't believe that I'm back up here 14, 15 months later talking about the same thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's kids at that school right now experiencing that school shooting that were part of Sandy Hook even. Like they have PTSD from a fucking school shooting in Sandy Hook. And then now they're having to relive it.
Oh, yeah. I saw that video of that student who was from Sandy Hook. Yeah. Okay, so let's leave off on a real solemn note, I guess. Prayers be with the 3 who have already passed and the 8 in critical condition at MSU. And
respect out to the families. Hopefully there's some GoFundMes when they release the names, and hopefully these families can get some resources they need, because you can't replace their child or whoever this person was. But
yeah, and it's just crazy.
These families definitely need support.
I feel like, just to sum it up, I feel like the frequency is being blamed on legal guns, but I think the reason is mental health. And I think chat was pointing that out, and that we might ought to also. But other than that, we can get to some plug-a-roonies and head out for the night.
I think we had an announcement for the kind of the format, I guess. Maybe.
Okay, yeah. Let me start that off. Obviously, Timothy McVeigh was the topic of the evening, but we moved that to next week because so much crazy shit was going on. And in light of that, we are going to begin a new endeavor. We're going to upload not live videos on our YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to YouTube, go ahead and go to that and hit subscribe. And on Mondays, you'll get a more current events, newsy type, chill, not live show from us or whoever of us can participate. And so, like, this week, obviously, it was very news heavy. Some weeks it won't be so news heavy. So some shows might be an hour, some might be 20 minutes, who knows. But, and we'll still have a small current events section on this show, like we have been, just to lead in. But newsy, maybe more political, maybe more current events show will happen on YouTube exclusively, being uploaded on Monday mornings. And so you can view that there. And this is a very long preview of what you'll probably see there.
But that's kind of what I was hinting at the format. So this, I think, so my understanding, Tuesday nights will be very dialed in specific. So like Timothy McVeigh being an example, like everything we've covered over the past couple of weeks would be an example of like dialed in specific conspiracy theories. The stuff Clayton's alluding to would be kind of like general current events, political commentary.
Yeah. Right. Funny Nut News, if you will.
Funny Nut News, that's the umbrella. It'll still be under the same channel on YouTube, not necessarily on Twitch, although we could potentially upload it on Twitch. I don't know why we wouldn't do both.
Just because I don't know how.
It would be splitting the views, of course, but I think YouTube would probably be the better house for it, obviously. But I do appreciate the live broadcast. I do appreciate the Tuesdays at 7.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy the banter and the automatic feedback. But I guess apart from that, I have to pee real bad. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut us into.
I mean, we could start plugs, and you can run, and we'll do you last.
Yeah, let me go first. I'm BOC Wasabi on everything: Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Find me on Twitter. That's the most active. But every Sunday, I do a live video or a movie trivia type game show type fun podcast on YouTube called The Rolling Third. You can find us at youtube.com/rolling3rd. We have a Patreon there for $1. You can see when we can't do live on Sundays, we'll do live on Patreon and re-upload and things of that nature. It doesn't really matter. And then you can find me every Tuesday here.
Great. You got Everest playing in the background.
Everest. Oh, so funny nut fact about Everest. My band, Able Delilah, it's the only song we don't play live. The guys don't like to play it. So
why is that?
Samson hates playing it. I don't think Kane likes singing it. I don't think.
Is that because the way it is?
It's just very repetitive, and we didn't have that much great feedback on it.
I like it.
I love it. I fucking love it. I don't care what anyone thinks, but I'm proud of that song. But we just don't play it live. Plugs. Abel Delilah. Follow that. You can get some merch if you like our music. Flavor is our latest track. It's on all streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. You can find merch on abeldelilah.com. You can also find Funny Nut Theorio merch. I'm rocking the hat right now. It's really awesome. It's really comfy. FunnyNutTheorios.com for that. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Inked Beats.
What just happened?
I think that's it. No, I think that's it. I'm good.
All right.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And thank you for enjoying this show.
I am BOC Molasses. I stream on that name under Twitch. I play some video games. This Thursday, I'm hoping to get some Hogwarts in for the first time. Drake.
Bro, it's so fucking fun! I'm addicted. It's worse than heroin. I've never done heroin, but it's worse than heroin. I can already tell you.
So, oh my God, I never had to think of it. We did my house placement and my wand and all that shit on the Rolling Third. I should plug that at some point, but you can check that out there. But yeah, Thursday, hopefully get that first stream in of my first exposure to that game. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I'm a very little bit of I'm not a fan of J.K. Rowling, apparently. But you can check out the live streams there. I do music, I could say that. I do Rocket League. We try to get to Grand Champ with me and Mayonnaise and Ketchup when he's available, but it's good stuff. I feel like we've got some good Rocket League strategy going on there, so I'm definitely plugging that. We've been playing Age of Empires, which is phenomenal. Loving that. Age of Empires 2 is a console version release, so we've been playing that on stream. That's fucking awesome. But definitely check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Dude, I just downloaded that. Y'all are playing that?
Yeah, there's like 6 of us committed to playing that right now. Like it's so much more fun. I thought it would be a boring stream, but it was a lot of fun.
Y'all are playing against each other on?
Dude,
when
it's
is Rolling
like
Third on? I haven't gotten the notifications. It's every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Interrupt my plug. It's good.
She asked. I'm sorry.
We have a website I'm supposed to plug on my plugs, which is right here. It's just basically redirects you to a merch store at this point, which is way overpriced, but we say that none of this money, I would say 2% of it, 1% of it goes to us, the rest of it is just for the production.
We get $5. We set it up to where it's $5 per purchase. So people are making fun of how expensive the leggings are. Yeah, but we get $5 on anything you buy. So.
If anybody does purchase these leggings, never mind. I'm not gonna do that.
Send us a picture.
If you buy any of the merch and you post it on Instagram, tag us and
yeah,
we'll share it.
No butt plugs yet, so we'll get that added.
No, dude, we're not
butt plugs. No, we're not doing. Well, I mean,
I think
if people want them.
Plugs, like we're plugging our shit.
Oh. I mean, people are into different things.
I think that was it for my plugs. My shit gets uploaded to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that's doing very, very poorly, but it's just whatever I stream on Twitch that gets uploaded.
Nope. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. We'll talk about the Oklahoma City bombing promise because we have a new outlet for if current events run over. So
yep, it's gonna be a very interesting take. We did a through line with MK Ultra, which was crazy enough on its own, not to even mention the ATF involvement with Waco and Ruby Ridge and all that shit tying into it. So it's like it's insane how all of this stuff is just intertwined.
No,
I feel like Charlie with his like red string and Sunny in Philadelphia.
Who is Pepe Sylvia? All right, see you next Tuesday.
Appreciate everybody hanging out. That is the show for tonight. Check us out next week, every Tuesday, 7 p.m., and then potentially an upload in between there on YouTube and Twitch. So thank you guys. I think that's it. Peace and love. Bye, guys.
I love you.